This is like any other tool in your toolkit. You're bringing a specific level of expertise from all of your experience and all of your conversations that you've ever had. So applying what you know to make it better with AI or to enhance it with AI is really the only way to think about it. But if you don't have anything, like if you're in a role right now where you're like, I hate this role, get out of that role, go figure out something that you're passionate about, and then add AI to it.
AI isn't the future, it's now. And whether you're in HR, sales, operations, or leadership, the choices you make today will determine whether you thrive or get left behind.
Today's guest is living proof that AI isn't just for techies, it's for trailblazers. Meet Ashley Gross, founder and CEO of AI Workforce Alliance. When generative AI first hit the scene, y'all, Ashley slashed her work week from 40 hours to 15 without sacrificing results. Since then, she's helped companies generate over $100 million in pipeline, built the AI Impact Alignment Method, and become the go-to expert in workforce AI strategy. You've seen her in Forbes, Microsoft, and on stages around the world. Y'all, let's dive in with the brilliant and incredible Ashley Gross. Ashley, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. That was a lovely intro.
You know, we try to keep it snazzy, we try to keep it snappy, but I would love to just dive in and tell us all about your journey into AI and how that started.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a humble beginning. I found out I was going to be a mom in 2020, and very naively, I went to my employer. I don't really know what I was expecting. I think looking back, maybe like a Target gift card and like a congratulations card. And instead, they were like, hey, that's amazing, but we don't offer maternity leave here. And so I was like, oh, okay. I'm looking at my marketing tech stack. I've been a marketer for 10 years. And I quickly realized there's no scenario where any of these tools are going to give me back more time to spend with a newborn. And so I started doing a lot of research. I'm a big podcast and newsletter gal, and I learned about a tool called Jasper. And I started using it and was able to consolidate my work week. And that made for a much easier experience as a new mom, obviously. And once I was able to consolidate that work week, I realized I was spending a lot of my work day doing tasks I hated doing. Like, we always talk about like the role we want or how much money we want, but we never have a conversation about the tasks we have to do every single day and whether or not we like them. So I was like, okay, there's no scenario where I'm the only one that feels like this. And so I started talking to the CMO at the enterprise I worked for and sharing some of the playbooks and the prompts that I was using. And she was like, okay, we want you to deploy this in the marketing org and then the product org and then sales. And that's when I first saw a tangible metric. We overachieved our pipeline by 25 million just within 3 months of taking my individual playbooks and prompts and giving them to teams. And this was early 2022 before ChatGPT had launched. ChatGPT launched around March of 2022, I believe. And so really that was, I mean, it was a Wild West time even back then, but nobody was able to really put ROI metrics on AI adoption. And so the fact that I was able to do that and I had a playbook and prompts and it worked in different departments, I was like, okay, freeze. I love being a marketer, but I want to double down on this. And that's what really gave me the courage to go back to school, learn to be a little bit more technical, learn to code, and lean into just being a student again, because I didn't feel silly. Like, I think before learning AI and seeing tangible metrics, I would have been like, why would I learn to code? Like, that's not in my ballpark. That's not in my wheelhouse. But I was like, no, like, I 100% should do this. I've seen the ROI. I'm going to double down and figure this out, because once you optimize these tools, then you start to kind of like unleash this new level of optimization where you're like, well, I like this tool's user experience, but I like the back end of this tool better. So then I just started building my own solutions, and that led to me starting my own agency and being able to implement AI into enterprises today.
Oh my gosh, I love that story. And the fact that you did all of that in like, what, just 3 years? It's insane.
Yes.
It's insane. But tell me about AI Workforce Alliance.
Yeah, so AI Workforce Alliance is for enterprises. This agency of mine, we have a framework. So we do everything from those initial conversations with C-suite staff and founders of, okay, you want to start using AI tools. You don't have AI tools that are accessible to your employees. Like, where do you start? So we do everything from building them a roadmap to helping them vet vendors safely and giving them guides to actually deploying and doing enablement sessions with those tools. We start there, but then we take them on this evolution naturally of, okay, there's going to be certain AI tools that you want to bring on and certain vendors that do great jobs. But to a certain degree, there's a level of risk and autonomy. And perhaps you want to start building these solutions in-house so the data never leaves your environment. So that's when we start to build some of the marketing automations and some of the marketing agents for them in-house, and then we maintain them. So it's like a full life cycle. But if you think about it, it makes sense. I don't think that anybody can safely and accurately build a strategy for companies without building the solutions and or maintaining them, because it's almost like you're just going in there and like hyping them up and saying like, you can do this, your employees will be this much more productive, you'll make this much more money, here's a playbook, and then like you bounce. And that didn't make sense to me, so I wanted something that felt more holistic.
I love that. And I think with AI right now and all of the things that are going on, people really need someone to guide them because they're facing experimentation fatigue. There's too many tools out there. There's too many options. What does my tech stack need to look like? So I'd love to hear from you. Why do you think that so many companies get stuck running all of these different AI pilots that never really stick?
I think part of it is fear paralysis. So there's lots of companies that have executives saying like, we're going to be AI enabled, go experiment. But they don't have tools that they're giving employees access to. They don't have a budget for it. They don't have resources for it. They might not even have like a Slack or a Teams channel showing like wins. So like it's not normalizing it in the culture. If your executives have fear, that sentiment is going to flow down to the rest of the staff. And like they're not going to feel safe using it because they have no idea how to safely. I think that's part of it. And then I think the other part of it is it's one thing to be an experimenter, but it's a whole other thing to be responsible for these tools. And so when I rolled this out back in 2022, it might not have been coming out of my budget. The tools might have been coming out of the CMO's budget, but InfoSec, privacy, security, they were asking all the questions and I had to have answers for all of those. And so when you have that level of visibility and pressure and the dependency of this being a success, you act differently. And I think that's an experience that you can read about this all day long in books, but like until you do it, you're just never going to have all the cards and the context because AI is an emotional change. Like that's the change management. It's not technical, it's emotional. And so I think just having that lens and having actually done all of that and had all the pressure, I'm able to see from the executives' perspectives, but also the employees' perspectives, mid-level, entry-level employees, and what they're thinking, and have those emotional, intelligent conversations baked into the planning and the rollouts and the experimentation. Because you can't have safe experimentation without holding space for the questions that the staff wants to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent point. We, talk a lot about at Walk West. I would say, you got to make sure that whenever we're rolling out AI, whether it's internally or for our clients, right? I was like, look, you want to focus on three things, right? Making sure it's safe, secure, and sustainable, right? To your point.
Yes.
And safe being things like brand safety, psychological safety, giving them a safe space to play. And the CEO and Erica as our chief people officer, we're like, we know that this is a change management game. This is not just a technical, conversation we're having. So we go through the entry point of, we start from like an HR and a people and employee experience perspective. And I say, look, if you want people to adopt this, and I would love your take on this, I always say, this is what we do. We make it personal, we make it fun, and we make it safe, right? We don't care if you mess up. We don't care if you do X, Y, and Z. We do it in a very contained kind of environment, but we've split up the entire company into groups. We've all, I think it's like, 5 or 6 different teams. We have a certification conversation going right now. We have a hashtag that's going on LinkedIn. So when people are posting about it, we're just trying to make it fun. But I always tell folks, I'm like, just because you have some business idea, to your point, the boards want to talk about it, executive teams. I was like, but no one's going to give two shits about your business outcome if you have not made it personal to them. How do they individually get more productivity gains out of this? And so we're taking a very personal approach to this and saying, this is how it's going to help you in your role. This is how it's going to help your team. This is how it's going to help the organization. We start to stair step up from that perspective. But we do believe that it's highly a change management situation. And my background is in computer science. So I went computer science, then marketing. in business. And I think you went the opposite direction.
Yes,
But we got to the same point.
exactly. That's all that matters. You have the best of both worlds.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Tell us about your AI impact alignment method and how that really helps teams move from the experimentation phase into the execution phase.
Yeah, Greg's tee up was perfect for this. So I would say it's starting with a problem. So in a discovery call that I have, when there's early indicators that they're interested in working with me, in that discovery call, there's rules. Like there's pre-homework to do before a discovery call. So this is not like a discovery call where, it's all on the vendor and there's magic and I have to like show you all these things and wow you. It's like, no, if you're ready for a discovery call, you're going to pay and you're going to have pre-homework. And if you don't complete that pre-homework, we're not going to have this call because I need to know that you are holding yourself accountable and you're actually ready for this conversation. And part of that pre-homework is, what is the biggest problem that your organization is facing? And I give this to founders and C-suite members, depending on who brings me in. So if it's marketing, it goes to the CMO, sometimes like the next level down. So director, perhaps of like digital marketing or demand generation. And I say, like, pick a problem. Like, what is the biggest problem? Would you say it's lack of clean and rich data, lack of insight in the customer journey, or slow sales cycles? And I walk them through this workflow of, once you choose a problem, tell me 3 ways in past roles where you have solved part or all of this problem. So now I'm getting them to identify a problem that is a very big pain point across the whole organization and not just specific to them. So I'm avoiding that silo of like, well, marketing's winning, but sales isn't. Like, no, we're not doing that. And then once they diagnose the problem, it's like, okay, remember how you've solved this in past lives, because we never give each other like enough credit for what we're doing and our accomplishments. So it's like a reflection. And then going into the call, I say, okay, look, you said slow sales cycles was your biggest problem. That's what I'm hearing the CEO coming back to you saying, we have to fix this for. You've given me a timeline of how fast you need to fix this. And you've given me ways in past roles that you've achieved some level of success solving this problem. Here are the use cases that all bubble up to solving that problem that are going to be deployed as part of this package. And we're going to choose teams from different members of marketing or different members of sales to be in the experimentation groups that are going to work for these individual use cases that all bubble up again to solving that problem. And I give them templates with qualitative metrics and quantitative metrics. I have a very, simple but consistent template for how to measure ROI and success, even when they're experimenting initially. So then once we see early success in those proof of concepts, then we take them to a pilot project. And so if the experimentation group was just one team, like let's just say it's like paid ads team or social media team, that's when we document the success and we bring it to the other teams in marketing and say, like, we want you to try to replicate this. Once it's successful, we scale it out, we document it, it lives on Confluence or wherever their central knowledge base is, and we have announcements. Hey, here's how this worked, here's what we did, this is a playbook now. So that's truly like, that's it. That's my secret sauce, that's my playbook. It's more so just, I'm not going to make them do 2 things that they've never done. I'm not going to make them experiment with this tool and try to derive value and measure ROI when they've never done this before. Like, I'm going to do that for them and guide them in a way of thinking about it. And I almost want to say it's like when you first learn to write a resume, as cheesy as it sounds, like your first resume, thank God I don't have mine because I would be mortified. But like on your first resume, you're like, I served ice cream, I smiled at customers, like I opened on time. And then when you learn how to articulate what you're doing, you start putting quantitative and qualitative metrics there because you learn quickly what you do matters, but how you communicate what you do matters more. And that's what we do with the alignment framework.
You talked about the different metrics for success in experimentation, and I would love to dive a little bit deeper in that because I'm not sure that everybody understands like what you can actually quantify there.
So with a pilot, it differs because with a pilot, I really want everyone to just make sure, or let me go back actually. With a proof of concept, I want to enable experimentation and give them one hypothesis and one objective. So if the use case, for example, is using Copilot to reschedule my workday and prep me for calls is going to save me 5 hours a day. That's it. Like, that's the hypothesis. The objective is to at least save 5 hours a day in prep time for calls. So then the metric for that would be, did it work? Yes or no? Like, were you able to accomplish it? If you accomplished more or less, like, put that number down. That's proof of concept because it's really getting people to go back from, it's okay not to know everything. That's the point of experimentation. You're safe here. Just like, do you think you can do this? Did you do it? Write it down. And then when we move into a pilot, that's more about what are the efficiency gains? Like, what are the productivity gains? Were you able to, as a department or as a team, take that same use case of one individual saving 5 hours a day and multiply it by your headcount for your team? What does that number look like? Because I guarantee you, if it worked for one person, then we're looking at a whole team. They're probably saving 30 hours a week just in prepping for calls and looking at their day and planning their day. That's a huge efficiency gain. So that would be the metric. And then when we scale it out, that's when we turn it into like revenue. So how much time are we actually saving from an employee perspective? Like, what are we paying these employees per hour? And how many hours are they saving prepping for meetings with Copilot? Let's put that into revenue metrics. And I want to look at that because as you scale something out, leadership's going to want to know, they're going to want to have eyes on, and inevitably you have to bring it back to revenue, but it shouldn't be brought in so early that people are worried that they're experimenting wrong because they can't tie it to revenue. So there's a time and place.
I love that. That is incredible. Any questions?
Oh, I have a lot of questions.
I was going to
I
say,
have a
I
lot of
know. I
comments.
see you. Go
I have a lot
ahead.
of
Dive in.
thoughts,
Dive
right?
in.
Look, because, as we talked off camera before we started this, I already told Ashley I was a fan because I've listened to her on other podcasts, right? Talk about, some of these things. And I'm fully aligned with kind of the strategy. One of the things I've listened to you before talk about was the outcomes, right? And focusing on the outcomes. I'm always a big start with the end in mind type of person, right? And anytime I do these types of strategy sessions for the last 15 years, I always tell folks it's people, process, platforms in that order always. It's like you guys want to jump to the technology and the platform. You have a change management problem here. One of the things that the team here at Walk West knows about me is I take a lot of these courses, right? I kind of nerd out. I got a ton of certifications, but one of the more impactful ones, speaking to this change management, is earlier this year I took one leading in the age of AI at MIT. And it was all about how we're transforming Walk West to be this more modernized AI first type of organization. And I clearly did something correct because now they're using that video of my case study on current students right now. So, shout out to MIT, they did a great job. But one of the things they talk about a lot of times is creating that safe environment, but then focusing more, they talk about this forgiveness continuum, right? And focusing on internal versus external, right? So when you're going to pilot, don't pilot on your end customers because from a forgiveness continuum perspective, there's going to be some challenges if things go wrong, right? And so I think sometimes to bring it back to what you were saying, when I hear revenue, I'm good because I'm a CEO. Most employees, though, they get that heart palpitation.
They
Like
get scared.
they're like, when you start talking about revenue, like, oh, the game has changed. I thought we were talking about productivity for me.
Yes.
Now you're talking about the revenue side. So one of the things that's top of mind for me, going back to that course at MIT, my problem set, one of the things, and I've heard you talk about this, and when we talk about the time equation, is I want to bring, when you talk about revenue, what about the hourly rates, right? What about like, how should we be thinking about this now? Because I keep telling folks, like, I can do a lot more in a lot less time, right? Now that could impact your revenue. I hear a lot of the Publicis WPP folks that are publicly traded talking about, the impact if my revenue goes down, but my profitability, but the streets don't care about that, right? So I want your take on this, like, because you talked about flipping that time equation. What do we do now?
Absolutely. As far as like how they go about it or like the why behind it.
Well, if you're justifying ROI, right,
Mm-hmm.
and we're acknowledging that we can do things faster, right?
Yes.
As we get greater market sophistication, the consumers are going to expect us to do things faster.
Yes.
And then there's this natural, all right, it's not just change management internally. Part of what Erica and I are trying to do, we're trying to change the world because people are trying to sell things that the consumers are not ready to actually, consume. Right. And so if the expectation is, let's talk about like legal profession, right? If I can get something faster and you used to charge me an hourly rate, should I not get it cheaper?
Okay. Great question.
Right, so how do you define ROI when things are expected to be cheaper is, I guess, my point.
So here's my pitch whenever this conversation comes up, because I haven't been charging hourly for the last year and a half since I started my agency.
I heard you and I love that.
And I'm making way more money. So like it works. And the reason why I kind of push this narrative is If you hire someone that is $50 an hour and you give them a 3-month contract to complete something and they complete it in less time, are you going to pay them less money? Because they completed it in less time. So ultimately, it's better for you because you have results faster. Wouldn't you want to pay them based on the outcome, like the value of the quality, instead of being in a time bind and expecting something in a certain amount of time? We almost created this internal laziness to a certain degree where we are telling people that they're busy bees
Yeah.
and they're getting charged per hour and compensated for the work they're doing, and we just want them to keep working. When in reality, there's no incentive for them to do better jobs at the tasks they're doing because they know that they're getting paid on the hour. But if they're getting paid on the outcome, they're going to approach every task differently. They're not going to just do something for the sake of doing it because they've done it this way 10 years. They're going to break that toxic mentality of like, well, it's always been done this way. And they're going to think, how can I do this better so I can do it faster because I want to be charged based on the outcome I provide. And that's how you change a culture internally. Because if people, which this doesn't happen, by the way, this is part of the training that I provide. If people knew how much time they were spending on tasks, like at the end of every week, I have an extension that tells me how long I'm spending per task. And then it's actually bucketed into busy work or strategic work. When I did this practice back in 2020, I was mind blown that the strategic work was less than 5 hours a week because I was spending the rest of the time on busy work. And at the time, the end goal for me was CMO. I would have never made it to CMO within the next 5 years ever had I not just taken a minute to see where that time was being spent, because those busy work tasks, they're not going to get me in boardrooms. They're not going to help me practice talking to leadership or having conversations or negotiating. So I'm not going to be prepared for those higher level roles, those bonuses, those promotions that I want. So I think that's really like the end goal is, yeah, like consumers already expect these things. Like when you get on Netflix, you have an a la carte buffet style of movies and TV shows based on your personal preferences. So you don't even have to scroll or think about it. If you go to Amazon or any other provider, you probably don't spend nearly as much time on there because you have to look. So like from a consumer perspective, we've already seen this. They want instant gratification. They want instant value. So why haven't we changed our internal culture to match that as well and provide that value faster? It's like this misalignment that's existed for years. And I think AI is the perfect tool, and it's a really good timing in the market to like kind of connect these two pieces.
Yeah, it's really exposed the I always call it like that accelerated time to value, right? And so to your point, if I can do it faster, right, then you get that value sooner. Wouldn't you like that more than to simply
Right.
wait just for the sake of waiting, right? And it is, and to your point, whether it's Netflix or Amazon, people say, well, I don't use AI. I was like, you don't know
You
that
do.
you're using AI, right? AI is using you, like whether you have acknowledged that or not. And so I think that, I mean, that is so spot on. I think we talk about the productivity crisis. A lot of times I frame things in kind of two ways. There's the lead flow crisis that we can get to a little bit later. I've been trying to talk to folks for 9 months now about, I said May of 2024, Google turned the lights off on a lot of small businesses when they went to AI overview, and nobody would pay attention, right? And I was just like, people were looking at me like I had two heads. I was like, I don't understand why you don't get this. Like
Right.
as we talk about this on the podcast all the time, as humans, we search for answers, not links. Right.
Right.
And so I talk about the lead flow crisis. And together, when we're talking to rooms, we talk about the productivity crisis, right, that you're describing. And there's evidence that the average knowledge worker spends greater than 50% of their work week either searching for things to do their job, copying and pasting, or reformatting data. Over 50% of your work week. Like, I don't know who signed up for that. I certainly, as a CEO, I wasn't hiring for that.
Right.
But that's the reality of, to your point. And someone recently said part of it, I think, is the challenge of like how the economy has been built over the last 150 years, and this kind of factory worker mindset. So to your point, everyone from the business community to the educational community has been in this kind of siloed kind of factory. You do this thing, you hand it to this person, it should take X amount of time. Right.
Yes.
And then we started, 20 years ago with more automation tools. Now AI has accelerated that to a whole new level. And the consumer has already expected it much faster than the business community can turn it around. So it's up to folks like you and I and Erica. We're trying to educate folks, but the change management is hard. Right. And so
Absolutely.
that's why I have great people like you. Erica.
I want to know for the people, what are the skills that matter most right now? Like, what should they be
We
doing?
doing it for the people?
We're doing it for the people.
All right, let's
you
do it for the people.
like 57 courses between the two of you.
Yeah, but we're doing it for the people.
We're doing it for the people.
All right.
Okay, so skills. I would say the availability of yourself to just communicate really well and always improve the communication. That's the thing. The humbleness or ability to humble yourself and kind of erase this mindset that you're never going to be an expert. Like, that should not be the end goal, because no one's actually an expert. When someone tells me they're an expert, it's the biggest red flag to me, because it means that they want to stop learning. Like, they feel personally like they know everything and they don't need to know anymore. And to me, that is the biggest red flag, because that tells me that you're not willing to be a student. You don't want to learn a different way of doing things because you're hung up on the idea that your way is the best way.
Yes.
And that's never the truth. Like, we always have to adapt and be flexible, and that's what you're going to see the most success in. I would also say along that line, your emotional regulation ability, because this is emotional, and you have to hold space for some folks that are going to be on different wavelengths. Some people are going to want to have conversations about, will this replace me? While others are like, I want 10 more AI tools because I just found ROI and I'm able to bring in so much more revenue for this business, and I'm like ready to fly. So, like, you have to have this emotional regulation of everyone's at a different place, and like, you got to be okay with that and learn how to navigate those certain situations. And then I would also just say, like, ongoing learning in your domain, because this is just another tool. This is just like Google. This is like any other tool in your toolkit. You're bringing a specific level of expertise from all of your experience and all of your conversations that you've ever had. So applying what you know to make it better with AI or to enhance it with AI is really the only way to think about it. But if you don't have anything, like if you're in a role right now where you're like, I hate this role, get out of that role, go figure out something that you're passionate about, and then add AI to it. Because AI is an amplifier. So if you are trying to have it fill in a gap that you don't know, if that's, a knowledge gap that you're trying to have AI fill, or if it's, I would just say like a passionate gap, like you don't feel passionate about your work, like AI is never going to do that. It's an amplifier and an enhancer. So you already have to know what you like doing, and you have to be willing to be like a specialist when it comes to that industry. Like if you're in marketing, the first thing you should always do is when you're about to start working for a company, or you're a consultant and you're about to start, onboarding a company, go to their website and put yourself in the shoes of their users. Go fill out their lead generation magnets. Go click on all their links. Like, even LinkedIn on a daily basis has a link that's broken, or a non-mobile friendly, formatting. So like, go back to the basics and always try to be like a specialist in your field and never lose that side of mind.
I love that the first three things you said were all soft skills, right?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like, make sure you know how to do prompt engineering or like
No.
dive into it. It was not a technical thing. And I wanted to really point that out so the listeners could hear, like, this is not about being a technical person. This is about the human side of it, the communication, the humbleness. So I thought that was chef's kiss. The HR heart in me is very happy with that. But what I would love to ask you is, like, how do leaders create a culture that can really welcome AI? And we touched a little bit about making it safe, but how do you really get that ingrained in the culture?
Yeah, so it starts with the top. So I would say benchmark yourself as an executive. Do you have fear paralysis? And if you do, identify the reason behind it. Are you scared that if you don't roll out AI, that it's your job on the line? Like, are you feeling pressure from the board or the founder? Is that the fear paralysis? Or is it you don't know what to do and you're just in this like freeze mode of, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to hope that the rest of the org figures it out, and blessings to all of you. Like, which identify the fear paralysis, because fear is totally normal and it exists everywhere and everyone has a certain level of it, but identify it, put it on paper and identify it. And then I would say from there, make sure as an executive, you are asking for the resources that you need, whether it's taking some certifications or going to in-person conferences to absorb that type of information, based on your role and like based on what the initiative is that you're trying to drive with AI. And then once you feel comfortable, you should start having conversations. But don't jump the gun and try to have conversations and push AI initiatives if you don't feel comfortable, because everyone's going to feel that. You don't have to say anything. People know, and they can sense fear. So once you have a little bit more confidence, you have the resources as an executive that you need. The way that you create safe spaces is removing yourself, because you were taught and you worked your way up from the bottom to an executive by doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you've got a little bit of a prejudice. You've got some bias in how things should be run. You're not the best at experimentation for the sole purpose of making the organization safe. And that is a spicy take. So I'm sure the listeners have lots of thoughts, but just hear me out here. You're not going to feel comfortable if your boss is like in the Slack channel with you saying like, what did you do with AI this week? Like, how did you experiment safely? You immediately are going to feel pressure and you're going to be like, well, I did save 5 hours yesterday, but like that wasn't a great use case. And like, I don't think that he or she cares about that. So like, I'm not going to share that win. It's compounded growth. So remove yourself. Take the pressure off of the rest of the teams and split them up into groups, like create working groups for activation and experience and content, and then put different team members that aren't used to working together in those groups. And if it has to be asynchronous and not a virtual call, you have them share, weekly wins. You can do this very easily with bots and Slack and Teams, so that like every week a bot, in the Slack channel for each working group says like, what's a win? What's a prompt you used? Just to keep consistency and keep people knowledge sharing and building that repository. But it's in a safe place. It's low level pressure, and you get them to see that anyone can do it. And then you also back that, right? So you don't know what's going to motivate every single employee. Like a good manager should know their team and they should know what motivates their employees and what their goals for growth are. But let's be honest, especially at an enterprise level, that's not possible, especially if like one person's managing, 50 plus people. So put some money and put some words and motivation behind what you're trying to push out. If bonuses are coming up, if promotions are coming up, make experimentation with generative AI one of the core pillars for asking for a promotion or asking for a bonus. Bucket it with learning and development initiatives. Like make such clear sense to any employee that regardless of who that employee is or what department they're sitting in, they understand that this organization is pushing AI. And if they do this, this goes towards their growth at the company. That's how you make it personal and safe.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of great thoughts on that. I don't know if they're great, but they're personal feelings. But one of the things I was most excited about a couple weeks ago, I got invited out to a HubSpot AI summit out in San Francisco, and Databricks conference was also going on. And at the same time, our team, Erica and others, were doing some internal training. And one of the things I was talking to our chairman about, I was most impressed with, I didn't have to be there. And it created a more safe space for people to play around with these things, right? I remember back in the day, we had some colleagues in a previous business that we were together where, something would go bad and we would have leaders that would say, I'm just going to sit in the middle of everyone every day and work on it. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's actually going to help. I think it's going to actually make things a lot worse, right? And because people need that ability to fail and not seek, I mean, that power dynamic exists, right? And then you add in AI and there's like, whether you call it fear paralysis, or some folks will say loss aversion or future shock, right? I guess about almost 2 months ago now, I was on a panel at the American Marketing Association in Chicago event. And you remember the CEO, Benny, was asking me on his podcast before the panel. He said, Greg, give me one word that you would give, marketers out there on what they need to be doing right now. I said, first of all, you're asking a marketer, say something, one word, right? Okay, challenge accepted. And the one word that I came up with was learn, right? Because like you, what I was trying to get across is that this impacts everyone, right? And what was kind of strange and odd to me is that we always talk about these, going back to the soft skills, the 5 C's of humanity that AI doesn't replace, right? From creativity to critical thinking to communication, collaboration, curiosity. And I would say to folks, I say, as marketers, you should innately have those qualities, right? But what was concerning to me, I was in those rooms, there was like 70 to 100 people, I can't remember the exact number. And there was such a large percentage that weren't really leaning into AI yet. This was 2 months ago. And so I said on the panel, I've talked to a lot of folks and they said, hey, what is your hot take or your spicy comment, Greg? And I said, look, you can't wait, because a lot of people were saying, well, IT is focused on that or this group is focused on that. I said, you can't wait. I said, you need to be in control of your own destiny, right? I said, you need to be out there and be on the forefront of this, Because, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but there's so many tools out there. And we're in this era of what I would describe as taste and trust.
Mhm.
Because there's going to be thousands of tools.
Yes.
Right? And you're not going to switch. I've listened to you on other podcasts talk about why you love your tech stack, and you described it as your tech stack.
Yes.
And I think that more people need to understand, what is your tech stack? What is and it's not just your tech stack, what is your workflow look like? Where do you fill in depending on your role? So it was more of a comment, but I really appreciated the sentiment there, because I fundamentally believe it. But it goes back to the core is we have to learn. These technologies are moving so fast. And a lot of folks in our industry, historically, they only had to kind of reinvent themselves every 5 to 10 years. Right. Now these things are changing every 5 to 10 weeks. Right.
Yes.
And every time I take a new course, I learn something new or different. And so one thing, when you were on that GTM AI podcast, that reminds me of people are talking about it's less about Terminator and more about Iron Man suits, right? In Jarvis.
Yes.
Like, we're creating these Iron Man suits where people, you're a craftsman, or you're an expert, right? And so if we can move it from stop thinking Terminator to saying, I have this Iron Man suit that's going to help me do all the things I want to do, but I'm still the human inside of this thing, right?
Absolutely. And I think everything you just summarized, if I was asked that question, I think my one word would be intention. Because without intention, you're not doing anything. You're not driving any change. And I think that's the biggest barrier that a lot of people face is they see, the news is oversaturated at this point with like all these different tools and use cases and, companies laying off employees here and replacing them with AI. But then over here, companies are using AI plus humans and making way more money. So there's just a lot of news and no general intention, and every single human being is different. And I think it's so much easier for us to go on autopilot and just wake up every day and do the same thing over and over again because we always do it this way, instead of just setting an intention. Where do we want to be in 3 to 5 years from now? What does that look like? What do you want your lifestyle to be? Where do you want to geographically sit? What do you want your family dynamic to be? Like, write that down and set that intention, and then figure out how you can use this technology to get that 3-year plan in 1 year or in less time. Like, figure out what that looks like for all of you. My intention back then was to spend time with my son and be a new mom and be able to balance work with a newborn because I couldn't take time off. If it wasn't for that intention, I would have very much probably stayed on autopilot because of the convenience of, well, let's just keep doing it this way because it works. Sure, we could try to experiment a different way, but we don't know if that works. We don't know the ROI yet for that. So why not just stay on autopilot? So set the intention for yourself, because at the end of the day, this is not a relay race. So if you're spending all your time looking over here and listening to how other people are maybe using AI or maybe just posting about it on LinkedIn and you're not actually seeing them use AI, you're not doing anything for yourself.
So I got to know, because I'm nosy, what is your tech stack that you use and what do you use those tools for?
Yes. So a lot of my tech stack, I do 60-day audits. So I would say that the only permanent staples that have been in my tech stack for a year plus are ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. And I would say like the use cases for ChatGPT are personalization. Like, I am swimming in ChatGPT every single day. So is my team, mostly from a creative perspective, because my creative workflow is I love to leave myself voice audio notes. Like when I'm walking outside with my son at night, like that's when I get my ideas off the ground or plan my talk track for a conference or plan my next course. So I will take those audio notes and upload them to ChatGPT and have them reformat it into content, into social media posts, into course outlines. And then I'll even go so far as to bring the app up and have conversations with ChatGPT where I role play it. So I'm taking my original ideas and like brain dumping them into my voice memo notes, putting them into ChatGPT to reformat, and then questioning and having like a strategic session back and forth. Why did you say this? Why do you think this could be improved? Why are you asking these questions if you're this stakeholder for this talk track? Because I don't want to become so dependent on this technology that I lose me, if that makes sense. So it's important for me to not just stay human in the loop, but keep my creative process that I started with, and then figure out like how to make it better, but why they're saying it's going to be better this way, because like I want that type of ongoing learning. And then with Claude, I'm using it to consistently helped me code better. So like C# is not something that I had ever touched prior to like a year and a half ago. Like it's just not my jam. I'm a Python girl through and through. So I will use Claude and it will help me find errors in code lines because like already learning something new and learning how to code a certain way is enough for me. So like going through my code and finding like the line with the error so I don't have to like scan through it and spend hours is the reason I use Claude. Perplexity, I create content. At the end of the day, I have an agency, I create courses, but like I'm a content creator. Like I got to push content out. So I want to know how quickly I can find value and resources when users are asking questions because AI engine optimization is what people are using more than Google. They want to ask a question into an AI engine, see the results, and even maybe purchase right from that AI. Like you can go research an espresso machine on ChatGPT, have it pull and rank a bunch of different ones, and then purchase it without ever leaving ChatGPT. I want to know what my customers are doing and asking for so that I can make sure that my content is ranking high and providing value and they don't have to scroll. The other tools in my tech stack that are always permanent, I would say, are a mix of automation and agent tools. So I love N8N for myself personally. And then my agent tools that I love to use are a little bit of Lindy, which is an AI agent, but then also a lot of the tools that I'm coding on my own. And then the rest of that is just a scrappy tech stack because when I work with enterprises, they have, either Google or Microsoft. So I'm playing with their tools that they like. So for me, I like to keep it super simple, super scrappy. I don't need a whole tech stack for my team.
Yeah, I could tell like on some I listened to this, like I said, so I knew I was taking notes to see like, all right, there's what you said in October, and now
Yep.
there's what you're saying right now. And that's
Yep.
part of it. Like some of it has changed a little bit. I noticed even on your site, and we'll talk about that or we'll link it, in the show notes. But I could tell right away that you use N8N because I saw a workflow
Yes.
on the site. When I scrolled down, I was like, okay, I know one of the things. I heard you talk a little bit about agents and agentic workflow before. I've used like Crew AI and LangChain, some other things that we're looking at, some MCP type things, right, and going a little bit deeper. But I try not to, going back to my fundamental belief is that I try not to go too deep with some of those things that you can automate down the road, because I just also understand that a lot of people they're not doing the basic, right?
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
we talk about fear and shock, right? We start introducing these you and I know that they're not as complex as they sound, right? But to other folks, we're like, hey man, I just want to understand how to use ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or others,
Right.
right? I use ChatGPT quite a bit, and which I think brings us to a great segment here. Erica, what's our segment we're going to do next?
This is our favorite thing on all the podcasts. So if you haven't listened, you're going to be caught by surprise, but it's called
Okay.
Last Chat. And so this is our game. You've got to go into your chat bot and you have to share your last chat with us.
Okay.
We've had everything from mental health breakdowns to perimenopause to what
I love it.
LLM you're using. So all the things. But don't worry. We will also
going to share.
we will also get vulnerable with you.
Okay, let's do it.
What I will say is, so I just got back from an HR conference, and I love that ChatGPT literally titled this for me, HR Unfiltered. So,
Ooh, catchy.
but what I wanted some help to make something a little bit more punchier in my keynote. And so I was plugging in different options and I was asking for spicier versions. And I mean, ChatGPT delivered and then even said, hey, do you want me to format this for a closing slide? Or do you want me to write a LinkedIn version to keep the conversation going after your talk? So what I love about Chat is they have learned that I'm a speaker. This is what I do. This is how I'm usually asking for content. So it already knows. And we've talked about Greg's always asks for monetization opportunity.
I don't know that I asked for that, but it realized what I was trying to do.
It gives him that.
No matter what I do now.
Yes, but I love how it learns and I love how it just keeps it going. It gives me just the right amount of emojis that I like. I mean, it has truly become this intuitive right-hand woman for me. So I
Yes.
absolutely love it. But what's yours?
Okay, so mine is not professional because this morning I was trying to do a lot of baking last minute. So mine is directions on how to salvage a sourdough hamburger roll recipe. because I let it sit overnight. I know it's a little bit lamer, but I'm very proud of my sourdough baking. I named my sourdough starter Clint Eastwood, and it's been alive for a year. So
Hey, listen,
I
this is a
have
COVID thing that
baking.
has kept going.
Yes, very much so. So I let it sit a little too long in the fridge, and when I opened my fridge, it was quite literally like spilling out, and I was like,
Oh boy.
I'm screwed. I need to figure out how to salvage this. So I was asking ChatGPT this morning how to salvage it,
Did
and it
not
worked.
contain Clint Eastwood.
Not
Look,
contained.
we almost got through an entire episode without making a recipe
AI
or
reference.
like every time we do one, right? It is like I call it my Diane rule. I have a friend Diane that hates that we talk about these things. So if she hears this, I was like, I tried, Diane, but it is so easy to make that analogy, right?
Because we all connect with it.
We all connect. We all got to eat,
We all
right?
got to eat.
All right. So mine was not professional, but it was family oriented, right?
Okay.
So I have 3 kids. They're 4, 6, and 8 years old. Right. So they are very, my oldest, my 8-year-old is very creative in a lot of different ways. So I think she's going to be an amazing marketer someday, or CEO or doctor, whatever the hell she wants to be. She's going to be it. Right. And so her name is EB. And I asked ChatGPT. So EB she wanted the whole family before bedtime to come to her room because she had set up what she called her magical museum. Right. So she created this magical museum. So I was like, all right, as a marketer, I need to now help her with some of this branding. Right. And so I said, generate a cartoon picture of an Afro-Latina 8-year-old showcasing her magic museum called EB's Magical Museum. Right. And so it created an image, and we'll post it or whatever later. Right. And so it created this great, image. You can't see it. Erica can see it here. I don't know if folks can see it. Right. But the
That's
whole,
amazing.
and I did it in, whatever it took, 3 minutes. And so
Yes.
so she was like, I'm going to go finish setting up. I came upstairs, showcase this. She was like, when did you do that? And I said,
You're
well, I just
magic.
did it just now, baby. She's like, but I just told you. I was like, yeah, well, these tools. And the funny thing I always tell people here at work is she's in 2nd grade and they're already learning AI and they're
Yeah.
using Canva. Right. So
Yes.
she's been creating things in Google Slides and Canva. So she was excited. Now she wants it. So now she can go make some more stuff and iterate on it. So I got my own marketing workflow at home right now. Right. And so I was just excited about that. So I almost forgot about the last chat segment. I was like, oh, this is a good
She's
one at
gonna
least.
rule the world. She's set up for success. I love it.
Oh
No,
my
that's
gosh.
a great use case. Our dog passed last Christmas, and so we
Hmm.
were like, what is there is there a book for 4-year-olds that explains this in like non-weird ways? So we asked ChatGPT to create like a nice little story about like the dog going to heaven, and yeah, like it worked perfectly. It helped us like navigate a very tough conversation we didn't think we would have to have that early. And yeah, like 5 minutes to your point, where it's like they ask a question and you're supposed to know because you're mom or dad, and you're like, I need to give them something so they don't let their imagination run wild. So that's what we did.
The
I
Rainbow
love it.
Bridge poem.
Exactly.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to also be seeing you in Boston for the AI Powered Women's Conference. Y'all come see all of us, Greg, myself, Ashley. We are all going to be there supporting Dr. Felicia Newhouse. It's going to be incredible. Check out Ashley. Follow her on LinkedIn. Check out her courses. She's doing it all. And until next time, you guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks for joining us on AI, Voice or Victim. If you want to stay competitive in the AI age, start now. Take one insight from today's episode and put it into practice in the next 24 hours. Make sure to follow us, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more actionable AI insights. See you next time.